Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter now welcoming you to another Second and 10 video. Of course, we're doing the Final Four of the Canada Players' Cup, and we will be doing this on Canada today, so ignore the July 15th bullshit. Well, the date being bullshit. But regardless of that, we have four teams: the 2024 Ravens, the 52 Giants, the 34 Bears, and the 91 Redskins. All Final Four. Let's take a look at these four teams, kind of. The 2024 Ravens. This is their second road game. They went to Minnesota to take on Nate Burleson and the 2004 Vikings. Of course, there's two Canadians, Urban and Robinson. So anyway, the 2024 Ravens, they took on the 04 Vikings and beat them 36-22. Then hosted the 05 Jacksonville Jaguars with Rob Meyer at defensive end and win 23-13. And then they took on the 2014 Dallas Cowboys with their snapper LP Ladouceur at home and won 21-3. So going into this, they do have the second best rushing, then third in passing, third in total yards, and fourth in points. They have scored 80 points and given up 38. In 3 games, they'll take on the 52 New York Giants. As we take a look at the 52 Giants and their schedule. This is their third game at the Polo Grounds. First game was against the 86 Saints with Ruben Mays, their running back, the Canadian. They won 34-14. Then hosting the 01 Chargers that had Steve Christie as their primetime kicker and Doug Flutie as their quarterback. They won 27-9. And then they went to MetLife to face the 22 Giants with Brian Daboll, the first Canadian NFL coach in modern history, and beat them 21-16. So their summary is that they're third in points, sixth in total yards, eighth in passing yards, and fifth in rushing yards. But of course, this is the 1950s where passing was only a necessity. The 34 Chicago Bears, number one in rushing, 25th in passing, but they don't pass, only out of necessity. Eighth in total yards, 10th in points. They lead in rushing yards because of one man, Bronco Nagurski. This is their second road game they're in. They went to Miami to take on the 23 Dolphins and Javon Howard, and surprisingly, they won 7-3. At home against the 2014 Seahawks with Luke Wilson at tight end and John Ryan at punter, they won 10-3. And then they hosted the 98 Bills that had Steve Christie as their kicker and Doug Flutie as their quarterback and won 35-17. They will now take on those pesky 91 Redskins. Tops in points, second in total yards, and second in passing yards. Because of their quarterback by the name of Mark frickin' Rippon, who's Canadian. This will be their third home game at RFK. They hosted the 2012 Seahawks that had just John Ryan. Luke Wilson came in later, but won 45-27. Rippon 3 touchdowns, 403. Then they hosted the 98 Falcons with OJ Santiago and won 31-0. Rippon the hero. And then in Kansas City against Duvernay Tartif and crew, they won 46-30. So now you know. So we're going to the Final Four. And we are going to go first to NYG. Both teams have some succession. Tom Landry at quarterback. Yeah, that's right. Tom Landry was quarterback at the time. Eddie Price and Kyle Rote running the ball. Joe Scott, Will Strickland, Bob Wilkinson. Receivers. Offensive line, Dick Ellington, Ray Beck. No rep pads, so Albright has to come in play center. George Kennard and Tex Coulter. The Ravens defensively, Robert Washington, Tom Jones, and Manabuki. Urban is a backup. He's Canadian. Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Kyle Van Roy away. The backup is Canadian Robinson. Brandon Stevens, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, and Marlon Humphrey are your DBs.
Receiving team.
Eric Henry, great wing back. Say Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, Tymon Thomas, Wallace, 19 pounds. Mark Hughes is retired. Offensive line. Patrick McCurry, Ben Cleveland, Tyler Linderbaum, Josh Jones, and Ryan Stanley. Giants defensive Ray Poole alongside Ernie Weinmeister. That's the Canadian, Ernie Weinmeister. Look it up. Aldo Rokitis and Jim Duggan. Linebackers John Kennedy, John Baker, and George Solitis. Tom Landry, yes, that guy with John Amber, the Militano, who is the all-time interceptions leader. Or was it Krause? I think Tina's. I think it's Krause. You're right, it's my cousin.
Live on the play. Personal foul. Defense.
You'll see that on there.
First down. First down.
First down. It's good.
He's good.
Henry 65-yard 2 touchdowns. The Giants had no answers for Baltimore's defense. None. Baltimore does obviously have great defense. Look at the time of possession. 40 minutes to 19. Holy crap. Landry 6 for 19, 86 yards per pick. Running wasn't there. Lamar 16 for 28, 242. Nothing else. Derrick Henry. All scored in the first half. Baltimore's defense. Robinson had a tackle and a sack. Nice job. Birdman had a tackle. Weinmeister had 3 tackles, 1 assisted tackle. But it wasn't enough. The Giants just couldn't get anything going. Baltimore wins 20-0. So now they take on either the 34 Bears or the 91 Redskins. Here we go.
Live on the play. Illegal use of hands. Receiving team.
Carl Brownberg, Jack Manders, and George Colbeck running the ball. Bill Carr, John Cochran, receivers. Well, there is a good well. I don't know why Brooklyn and Bruce is not. Risky quarterback for Rainy River. Lyman, Joe Kopchka, Eddie Kowalczyk, Carlos and Joe Russo, Washington, Steve Line, Charlie Mann, Tim Johnson, Kirk Williams, and Fred Stokes, Andre Collins, Boulder Marshall, Matt Dillon, linebackers, Harold Green, Randy Copeland, Brad Evans, and Aaron Mayfield.
First down. good.
Washington is back shipping. Husband, start moving back from Alberta, Canada. The other Canadian leagues Ernest Biner and Gerald Rakes moving back. Well, Art Monk, Gary Clark, Ontario, trying to catch the balls. George Jacoby, Roy McKenzie, Jeff Boston, Mark Schleich, and Jim Lachey, the offensive line, 88 balls. Bears defensively, Bill Hewitt, Eddie Cole, and Bill Carr. Rocco Livers is their linebackers. Got Joe Kopchak, Chuck Carlson. Rosani, Brumbo, Taylors, and Rosberg are their defense backs. So we have this Canadian prime. End zone. Bears in the end zone.
Flag on the play. False start. Offense.
Red zone. Red zone. The red zone now 3 7. And now they'll need to go for 4.
Good.
Manners for 40 yards.
The kick is good. Timeout offense. First down. First down. Flag on the play. Holding. Offense.
Trying to do what you got to gotta pass sometime. Oh, this game's pretty much
Timeout defense.
40 yards.
The kick is good. interference. Defense. First down.
Washington can't believe it. Rippon was looking so good, and Jack Sanders had a pick six, I guess. Pick six. The only field goal. What a touchdown. And he kicked 4 field goals himself, so it's 19-6. So Rippon is 8 for 27. Are you for real? 83 yards, 5 receptions. But what he did in the previous 3 games, he just ate a shit sandwich on that one. Legursky ran 5 times for 23 yards. But the only touchdown was a pick six by Manders to make it 13-6. Wilmer made 2 field goals. Legursky on defense, 7 tackles and 3 assisted. He even picked the ball off. A Canadian crime. So we got Manders, Brumble, Legursky, Zeller, and Mosworth. Yeah, I was like, what the hell happened? Well, we're in the championship game in Toronto. It's the 24 Ravens, led by the great defense that they have against the 1934 Chicago Bears. Line. Carl Brumbaugh is made the quarterback. Keith Mosberg, Bronco Legursky, the pride of Blaine River, by the Vancouver Border, and Johnny Sisk, the running backs. Luke Johnson and Ted Grosquist are your receivers. No Joe Kupchak, big loss. Grosquist has to come in for Kupchak with Link Lyman, Eric Adequal, Sid Carlson, George Musso. The Ravens defensive line, Broderick Washington, Jones, and Manamuki, with Irvin as a backup. Roquan Smith, Trendon Simpson, Kyle Van Noy. No way. The linebackers, Robinson, Canadians, the backup DBs, Brandon Stevens, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, and
Flag on the play. Pass interference. Defense. First down.
Justice Hill. I feel like Justice Hill is Canadian. Oh well. Say Flowers, Brishaw, Boyd, Nelson Aguilar, and wide receivers, and more players are Canadian. Defensive line, Patrick McCurry, Ben Cleveland, Tyler Lindenbaum, Josh Jones, Mark Stanley. The Bears D line, Bill Hewitt, Eddie Twallen, No Kopcha, so Doring off the blue linebacker, Legursky, Carlson, Lazani, Brumberg, others in Mosberg for defense.
First down. First down.
That's the game? Yeah. That's the game. Fourth quarter, the Bears win 7-3. The Bears win 7-3. It was a defensive showdown for the Bears. Holy shit. Jack Manders plays well on defense. The Ravens had Yeah, look at this total yards, and they only can score 3 points on these guys. Well, 11 penalties doesn't have matters. So 7-3 Bears win again by low scoring. Well, Nagurski 3 of 5 red pass. Well, he ran 7 times for 26 yards. Tucker kicked the field goal. Lamar 15 for 37 and 187. It was a good game. Drives. Baltimore had 29 minutes of drives. Punt, interception, punt, half. Punt, missed field goal, which is unusual for Tucker. Punt, field goal, downs. Bears, punt, touchdown, pick, punt, end the game. So yeah, Baltimore can't believe it. 7-3. So yeah. On defense, the two Canadians, Urban did have 4 tackles. Urban had 4 tackles. Robinson had 1 assisted tackle, so Urban had 1 tackle. Nagurski on defense, 5 tackles, 1 assist. 1 assisted tackle. So Nagurski was pretty much busy doing both things. So the 34 Bears win. They had the 5th most points and the 4th most total yards. Their passing yards, they were only 15th, and they won the rushing yards thing. Schedule wise, yeah, look how tight their games were. Look how tight their games were. They gave up. Wow, look at this. 7-3, 10-3, 35-17, 19-6, 7-3. They gave up single digits every game except for Buffalo when they scored to make it 14-14 at the half. After that half, they've only gave up 12 total points. How many touchdowns did it? They only gave up 2 touchdowns, and that was to Buffalo. Everyone else didn't even score a fucking touchdown on them. Excuse my language, but that's the way it is. So yeah, they only gave up 6, 23, 29, 32 points. So that's about 6.4 a game. That's amazing. When you give up less than a touchdown a game, that's amazing. Even though you gave up 17 to Buffalo, and it could have been disastrous, but after that, whoo, baby. So in the last 10 quarters of action, they only gave up 4 field goals. That's it. No touchdowns. Highlights. All right, so the most by one team scoring the 49 points by the 2014 Seahawks against the 07 Rams, 49-10. That was the most. The 91 Redskins in the quarterfinals against the 2019 Chiefs is second, and the 45 points by the 91 Redskins in the first round against the 2012 Seattle is number 3. Yeah, it's amazing those guys got 46 points. Most by both teams. The 76-point shootout between the 91 Redskins and 2019 Chiefs, Rypien versus Tardif. 98 Buffalo with Christie against 99 Vikings with Mitch Berger. It went to overtime, and Buffalo won in overtime because Minnesota muffed it. Number 3 is the 91 Redskins beating 2012 Seattle with John Ryan. Viewers by both teams. The Bears-Miami game, 10 points. Baltimore Giants were involved in the lowest scoring game that did not involve those pesky Bears. So the Bears took part in 4 of the 6 lowest scoring games combined. Their second best was 25 points against Washington. Yeah, their championship game was tied for the least with Week 1 against the 23 Dolphins, 7-3. Yeah, 24 Baltimore beat 52 Giants 20-0, and then 24 Baltimore beat 2014 Dallas 21-3. Most by kicker Jack Manders with 19 points against the 91 Redskins. He single-handedly took them out. Chip Lowmiller 14 points against Devin Tardif, 5 PATs, 3 field goals, and Dan Bailey against the 24 Bengals and Chase Brown, 4 PATs, 3 field goals. Most yards passing. It wasn't Mark Rypien. He had 403, but Patrick Mahomes, 453 yards, the most, and he still lost the game to Mark Rypien. In Week 1 against Team Cutter, he threw 414. Tom Brady 4th. Matt Moore played for Kansas City against the 20 Philly and was ranked number 5. Of all people, it's Matt Moore. Touchdowns 5 by Doug Flutie against the 2020 Steelers in week 1 with Chase Claypool. A lot of people had 3. Most interceptions? How about 5 for Mark Rypien? That's kind of why they lost to the Bears. Fred Banners threw 4 picks against the 22 Giants and still won. 2 had 3 interceptions. Russell threw 3 and Joe Burrow threw 3. Most yards rushing? Saquon 199 against the 24 Redskins, 38-3 in week 1. B.D. Feathers against the 98 Bills, 167, and Joel Anderson was third, 152 against the 03 Colts with Vanderjack. Most touchdowns. B.D. Feathers had 3 touchdown runs against the 98 Bills. A lot of people with 2, not at least a Canadian. No Canadians had 2 touchdowns. Receiving most yards receiving. Ricky Sanders 159 in week 1 against the 2012 Seattle team from Mark Rypien. Tyreek Hill 140 from Mahomes, and Gary Clark 132 against Kansas City from Mr. Rypien. No Canadians on that one. Touchdowns. Plenty of people with 2. Luke Wilson, Canadian, had 2 touchdowns in 1 game. Nice. Defense. Most interceptions in 1 game. 3 by Rodarius Williams for the 22 Giants against the 52 Giants. And they still lost the game. B.D. Feathers and Rashawn Mathis both had a 2 interception day in wins. No Canadian, though. Most sacks. Lots of people with 2. I don't see a Canadian. I thought a Canadian did get 2 sacks. No, not sacks. Most field goals in 1 game. Jack Manders has 4 field goals against Washington in the semifinal. Mike Vanderjack had 3 field goals in a loss. Points after, Stephen Hotchkiss with 7. Kickoff returns. Most yards in a kick. A kickoff return, Leon Washington 181 against Rypien and Co. but lost. Ray McLeod 166 for Pittsburgh but lost. And Kevin Williams 115 and still lost. Dwayne Harris had the most kick return yards in a win. And punt return yards, Emil Tuna 117 for the 52 Giants against the 22 Giants. Carl Brumbaugh 101 yards against the 14 Seahawks and won. And Duvernay an 83-yard touchdown. There's Vicey Game. I didn't know he was a best plays. Best passing plays. 70 yards by Rypien to Gary Clark against Duvernay Tardif. Doug Flutie 64 yards to Andre Reed second, and Lamar 60 yards to Rashad Bateman. But those 2 were not for touchdowns. Best running. Eddie Price, a 70-yard touchdown run for the 52 Giants against the 22 Giants. That was Weinmeister versus Dabble. Miles Sanders, a 68-yard play for Philly against Carolina, and Chuba for the 20 Philly, and Saquon 64 yards for a touchdown. Longest field goal, Justin Tucker, week 1 against Burleson, 55 yards. Jeff Wilkins, 54. Cade York had a 54-yard field goal himself. Steve Christie, longest by Canadian, 53 yards. Punting, 71 yards by Jordan Stout against the 34 Bears in the final. Dustin Colquitt, 70 yards. Chris Jones, 66. There's John Ryan, a pair of 61-yard punts. Kickoff returns. Mo Williams had a 95-yard touchdown kickoff return against the 98 Bills, but still lost. Leon Washington, 89 yards. Punt return, Duvernay, 83 yards per touchdown. Kevin Williams, a 71-yard play, and then Vicey came a 3rd. Pickoff. Longest pickoff, Kurt Schultz, 52 yards, but not a touchdown. Frank Gifford had a 45-yard touchdown. Well, now you know. That's all I've got for the Canada Players' Cup, and congratulations to Bronko Nagurski for winning it all. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.